Welcome to the Save Par Golf Podcast, where two average golfers talk about golf and things. I'm your host, Derek.
Ooh, that sounded weird. I'm Dom.
We are currently on episode 95, and we have a very special guest today. We have Gabe with Stix Golf. They're disrupting golf with full sets of golf clubs for casual golfers, all the quality for half the cost. Make sure to give them a follow on Instagram. Their Instagram handle is at Stix Golf Gear. Gabe, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been kind of a long time coming. I think, Dom, and you kind of set this up a while back, from
It
my
wasn't
understanding.
too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
maybe a month or so.
we love what you're doing. Stix Golf is obviously a company that makes golf clubs, full sets, and then you can also get wedges and all that. Can you tell us a little bit how the company came about and where the idea came from?
Before we get
Sure.
super into it, Derek loves the putter.
Oh
I do.
yeah?
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try to game him this week or next week.
He's playing around with it. He goes, "This is my new putter." I was like, "Put it back."
You know, I was at Dick's with my family recently, and I went into the putting section. Because back in COVID, you couldn't even go in and mess with anything. So I was just messing around with some of the putters. And everyone I picked up, I was like, these grips are tiny. Like in the Dick's setup, if you go to PGA Tour Superstore or whatever, like you get some higher end ones with bigger grips. But I love our grip on our putter.
I do
It's
too. That's what kind of got me. The weight too, for sure, but I like the grip a lot.
Yeah. If you guys, a few of our recent Instagram reels are me putting, and one I'm out with Dave Fink, and I'm just like, I'm in a groove with that putter right now. So I'm with you.
Well, good. So yeah, let's rewind a little bit and just kind of tell us again, like where it kind of came about, like what gave you the idea, and kind of just start from the beginning.
Yeah. I just booked a tee time on Thursday morning this week. It's Tuesday night right now. So in 2 days, I booked a tee time back at Potawatomi Municipal Golf Course in St. Charles here. It's right on the Fox River. It's a 9-hole course, $15 to $20 green fee, depending on the time of day. And if you buy a punch card, it's like, you can get 6 rounds for like $10 each or something. But that is where this idea really came to life. It was me and my co-founders out there golfing at a municipal, which is what we did. We weren't country clubbers. We weren't, golf trippers. We weren't private lesson kind of people. We were all rocking like 20-year-old sets of clubs playing a municipal. And at some point we were playing enough that we were like, why are we all still rocking these old clubs? Like, we feel like we're better than this. We feel like we deserve better than this. And then we kind of got to talking like, yeah, why haven't we? We kind of talked about what our shopping experiences had been. And some of us had upgraded a putter, upgraded a driver. But it was, we're paying 10 or 20 bucks a round. And we're like, it's like hundreds of rounds to go buy a new set of clubs, right? Based on the typical shopping experience. So that's the conversation just kind of started of like, why doesn't golf have the equivalent of like a Harry's razor or a Casper mattress or an Allbirds shoe that's just really high quality, looks awesome, easy to buy, performs with the best of them? Why doesn't that exist? When I go shopping for golf clubs, I feel like it's an archaic, gimmicky, overhyped, polarized world of starter sets and custom fit sets. And we're like, this seems like nonsense. I wonder why this doesn't exist. So that's how it started. Was we wanted something that didn't exist.
Sure.
And I can take you further down the road if you want, but that's that. You may have more probing questions, but that's like ground zero.
Have you been playing golf for quite a while?
Yeah, at that point, I had probably been playing golf for around 20 years. I think I got my first set when I was around 12 years old. It was a $20 set from a church rummage sale where every club was older than I was. No two clubs matched. The bag was made of leather. The woods were made of wood. The clubs were rusty, all different heights, weights. Who knows what flexes were at that point. My woods probably had metal shafts, and all the grips were hard and slippery.
Yep.
So that's how it started. And I played enough with buddies, again, municipal courses, mostly executives, So par 3 courses. So I'm really good with my irons, because I probably spent 10 to 20 years just playing par 3 type courses back in Seattle, where I'm from. Freshman year of high school, I got cut from the baseball team. So I went and joined the golf team, where again, I was not like a serious golfer. I was JV and never competed, never got coached, just got to play for free for the season and loved it. But yeah, by the time we're having this conversation, where Stix started, I had upgraded once, like right when I had enough money. I bought a set of clubs like when I was 17. And that's what I had used for 20 years. And through that, my golf journey was casual. I played a handful of times a year at best. I had 4 kids in my 30s. And so, actually, sorry, my 20s. And so like not a lot of like sneaking away and spending money on golf and whatever. So, and that's how a lot of my friends and the co-founders of Stix, that was kind of a similar story. We're like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there where this is probably the same deal.
When you say your co-founders, how many people were involved in actually, when you, was it just like a foursome when you're playing golf? And you said you mentioned it playing at a municipal course. Was it just like a group of buddies that said, hey, there isn't anything like what we're thinking of? Is that kind of how it came about?
Yeah, it was a couple different groups of guys I was golfing with, and I was at a venture studio at the time where we were in the business of starting new businesses. We were always coming up with, validating, iterating, launching, and growing different digital products ourselves, with early stage founders and inside larger enterprise organizations. So we were always hearing ideas from people and validating if they had any sticking power, if we could establish product market fit, if we could actually like grow a business within that space. And so these are the people I'm hanging out with and golfing with. And so when we have this idea, we kind of like start running it through the same playbook that we're used to of, okay, here's an idea like any like new founder that's pitching us is coming up with. Let's run it through the validation model and see what comes out the other side. And so that's how Stix started. It was a validation experiment that just kept checking the boxes.
Sure.
It was, do people want a mid-market club, something that's not a cheap starter set, and something that's not an overpriced kind of professional level set? And it's funny because the day that we had this initial conversation at Potawatomi Golf Course, by that evening we had a logo and a name and a domain. By the next day we had a 3D model mock-up of golf clubs, because one of my co-founders, a world-class industrial designer. Behind me, I've got our Red Dot Award. We won the Red Dot Award in 2022 for product design, which is like a big deal in design in general, and it's like completely unique for golf clubs that we won the Red Dot Award. So yeah, by day 2 we had logo, domain, we had the golf clubs design, and we started putting them in front of people. There's a website called pickfu.com where you can put basically 3 images, 2 or 3, 4 images in front of people and have them vote. And people can use this for like ad concepts, logos, whatever. And we put like a starter set, this new Stix thing that didn't exist, and like big name brands. And we were like, what would you pick? And 25% of the people chose our thing.
Wow.
We were like, 25%, that's not everybody, but that's something.
Yeah,
And so we just kept going, and at every stage it kind of exceeded expectations.
that's very cool. That's kind of the first time I've ever heard of, like you said, it's kind of unique for a golf industry to win an award like that. I've
Mm-hmm.
never even heard of that, so that's very cool. And I might have missed it, but did you say what year it was that you launched the company?
That was my question, is like,
Oh,
what year did all this kind of like when did the idea start, like year wise, not to like age you or anything?
Yeah, it was about the summer. It was the summer of 2019 that we had the idea, and we
Okay.
did some of this validation work, and then we got busy, and golf stopped. Right, COVID hit early 2020. Literally, the PGA Tour shut down. Golf courses were closed, And so we were like, let's go focus on some other things for a little bit, which thankfully we weren't like too all in yet. We had the idea, we had done some work, but everybody was just kind of like side hustle part-time on this experiment. And then when golf came back post-COVID, like golf surged, as we all know. It was like there was one of the largest viewership PGA events in history. Suddenly you can't book a tee time because it's one of the only socially distanced things you can do. So at this point, the timing was kind of right from an industry standpoint and for a lot of the kind of the busyness and the seasonality of the co-founders. And we were like, should we do this? And so we kind of committed in the summer of 2020, and we launched, actually it's September 5th now. We launched September 1st, 2020.
Okay.
Congrats on 3 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
in 3 years, they say, I pitched this to my team a couple offsites ago. Only 1% of businesses receive VC funding. Only 1% of those ever make $1 million. And I actually don't know the stats on reaching profitability, but it's like we've covered a lot of ground in 3 years, and we're really proud of the progress that we've made. And there's been plenty of stumbling and learnings and snags along the way. It's been a ride, but it's crazy what's happened because not a lot of companies check a lot of those boxes.
You kind of mentioned your target audience as far as,
You okay?
yeah, I kind of like joking there. Your target audience is for someone who's, a decent golfer, but they don't want to spend maybe thousands of dollars on clubs, right? Because like you said, you can go to the PGA Superstore and spend a minimum of $1,500 on up for a set of clubs, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming because there's so many other options.
Oh, this reminds me. So, not to totally steal it.
Oh.
So, a friend of mine actually, I kept talking about how much I play golf, how much I like golf, how much Derek and I play golf together. He went out and bought himself a set of sticks, and this was
Yes.
before I had met Gabe. This is before we had any interaction with
Really?
sticks. So he's
That's really cool.
yeah. So my buddy's got a full set of sticks,
Well,
just
there we go.
randomly.
That's kind of cool.
And
Yeah.
I think you're probably going along the same lines as me.
Yeah.
Basically, what drew him to sticks was price, the look, and the fact that they were kind of, I don't want to say they're geared towards beginners because they're really geared towards everybody.
Mm.
But he could understand everything that was being talked about on the website,
Sure.
which I thought was super cool because you go on like you and I both had Cobra clubs, right? You go on Cobra and it's all sorts of numbers and all sorts of lofts and everything, and
A little overwhelming. You don't know.
yeah, I mean, even for me, who
Yeah.
I played golf a while, I still don't know what half that stuff means.
Yeah.
So for him, going on to sticks was super smooth. And yeah, he has a set of sticks and has liked them so far.
And the
I
name
love it.
too is kind of genius because
That's what they are. They're sticks.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, I love it.
Well, I love hearing that story because, you set out to do something and sometimes you wonder if it's landing with people, right? But I love it when I talk to people and they just kind of like say all the brand values when they talk about sticks. But hearing that like the website is digestible for normal people, like that's huge. Because that's how we felt. We felt like golf's intimidating. Like if you walk into a store and you're like, hey, I want to buy some golf clubs. It's like, here begins like this super complicated, super expensive, confusing, condescending journey, right?
Yes.
That you're just
100%.
like, never mind. I think I'll just keep using what I got because
I'll just keep
this
my
is-
clubs that I spent $8 on.
yeah. Just this is maybe not a fair comparison, but it's like a used car lot. It's not like a used car lot, but a used car lot's shopping experience is so painful that you're just like, I'll do anything to avoid that. Like I'll just keep driving my car, or I'll buy a private party where I don't know anything. The golf club buying experience in person golf's getting better, right? I was just reading Golf Digest right now and I was talking about like golf is getting better. It's becoming more of the exception than the norm. A lot of these really bad stereotypes that you'll run into, but I think I grew up in it, so I still have like this little bit of phobia of just like somebody's going to call me out for wearing the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. I was a caddy at Seattle Golf Club when I was 12 or 13. And that was like kind of the epitome of just, you're always on edge, right? You're like, I'm going to do something wrong here. It's also uptight.
Yeah, exactly. Walking on pins, basically. Yeah.
Eggshells.
Yeah, or shell. Yeah, that too.
Eggshells.
Yes. Um, I was gonna say the same kind of thing. It's even with like new car dealerships. I mean, I just bought a Mazda CX-5 last year, and it's like it should be, besides a house, it's one of the more expensive purchases you're making, and it's like it should be an enjoyable experience, not one that you're just like trying to just get the heck out of there. And
Yeah.
so like kind of tying that back with going to like a golf place where you buy new clubs, sometimes it's like you've seen those videos where they'll bump up the yardages and distance things where it's like they're just, trying to make a sale. Like you hit this like 310 yards and it's like, I'm really only hitting it like 260 probably, but and I'm not trying to knock a lot of those because there are a lot of good professionals and coaches out there that will help. But I do agree. And I think kind of going back to Dom's friend, I think that's a huge, uh, bonus on your guys' side. It's very easy for someone to, to not feel overwhelmed with what they're looking for. It's like they have a great
Yeah.
look, very sleek. There's not a whole lot of options, which is kind of a nice thing too.
I just texted him,
What's that?
my
Oh, your
friend.
friend? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I think it's fantastic. And kind of going back to the target audience, I was kind of wanted to see like where do most of your sales generate? Are you doing a lot of it strictly on like Instagram and social media, or is it primarily like right on your website? Because you're not in any of like the big box stores, correct?
We're in PGA Tour Superstore,
Oh, you are. Okay.
and we're in Shields, who's
Interesting.
mostly Midwest
Yep.
Yeah.
sporting goods, awesome partners. And then we've been, online with a few companies like Curated, Target.com, Academy Sports. So we've got quite a few channels. Primarily, it's direct through our site, though. Advertising on different channels like social media, but most of the sales come direct.
So you're located out of kind of you'd say like in the suburbs of Chicago,
The
in
Midwest.
the Midwest there. You have a big warehouse, but do you have like a storefront where somebody could come in and do some demos, or is that a plan that you'd like to have down the road?
We don't currently. It's not in the plans.
Okay.
We've seen that go maybe well, and we've seen it go really wrong for certain D2C brands. Like I think Allbirds is out way out over their skis on their physical stores. So I think there's some learnings to be had, and I don't think as fast as we're growing and as far as we're reaching, I think one-off physical stores right now is not what we need. We tried to solve the problem of, the reason for a store is that somebody can touch it before they buy it. We solved that problem with our 30-day return policy. It's like order it, try it, send it back if you don't like it. But and that's working. Trying to reach people and let them touch it ahead of time is just so much more complicated and expensive than just saying, look, order it, and if you don't like it, send it back.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think the whole brick and mortar thing too. I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to both, but you kind of found that way to kind of stay out of that for the most part,
Yeah, and then
which is
we've got
nice.
partners, right? We get,
Sure.
through partners like Shields, we get a lot of doors instead of opening our own, and they're great partners, and their salespeople are big fans of what we're doing, and we'll let the retailers be the retailers, and we'll stick to direct for now.
That's smart. I never looked at it that way. It's a good way to look at it. I don't want to say you get your foot in the door, but you get your foot in the door with Shields, and then you just let people touch it there, and it saves you money, and it still gets the product in people's hands.
Yeah, and it's just faster, right? That's
Yeah.
you get 30 doors with one retailer, you get another 100 with another retailer versus, it's going to take a lot of energy to open up a couple stores from our standpoint versus, and that's just not going to get us that much reach. If you're a brand that's like born in a cool area and it makes sense to have like a flagship store that is the HQ or something, like that's kind of cool. Where we're at actually is a big golf center. Like Chicago suburbs some of the golf retailers out here, like their biggest stores are here, which is surprising because Chicago's cold half the year. Like you're not golfing for like 4 to 5 months out of the year, but there's a lot of golfers out here that spend a lot of money, and when they are golfing, they're golfing a lot. So like still one of our biggest geos is Chicago that we sell clubs in. And it's not just because we're here.
Sure. That's kind of in the same, we're in the kind of that Midwest, Minneapolis, Minnesota area, same boat. Like we
Except colder.
yeah, it gets really cold, but we have those golfers that are just like said, we have that short window, but when we have that time to play, we get out and play as much as we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
The cool thing is you would never guess that we have a short window just from the way people talk about golf, the way people play golf. We talk
Yeah.
about it like we play,
Year round.
year round, or we have the ability to play year round, and that's not the case at all. So I've always thought that was
Well,
really
and now
interesting.
we can, right? It's like the sim stuff is getting so popular and affordable. Like I've got the the Garmin R10, and that thing's awesome. I set it up in my basement and I can play golf.
Yeah.
That and a hitting net, and I'm good to go.
Those are
I've
cool.
got the golf club holes in my ceiling to prove it.
That's awesome.
Do you ever blame it on one of the kids?
Yes, because it is the kids. It's actually
It's always
one of
the
my
kids.
kids. One of my kids' buddies is over, and of course, I like set up this whole thing, and then the kids just get after it. But my brother-in-law put one through just fully through the ceiling, and so did one of my son's buddies.
Oh, that's awesome. But those are very cool, and you're right though. That's a huge advantage for some of us Midwest people that just can't play golf all year round. There's definitely ways around it, which helps a lot. But um, so we were talking about earlier, like we love the aesthetic, the look of the clubs. Um, like where did the inspiration come from, and like from like start to finish, like when did you guys realize, okay, like yep, this is what we want it to look like, and put
Yeah,
it in production?
yeah, yeah. Like I said, so we had like a mock-up on day 2 of what we wanted. So 2 of the co-founders are designers. So my career started as a designer, graphic design, web design, and then we have our world-class industrial designer co-founder Kyle Buzzard. And as we had these early conversations about what we wanted, part of it was like it's all ugly. We were like, it's cheap or it's expensive, and either way you go, even if you spend the big bucks, it looks crazy. So as designers, we're like, again, where's the Harry's razor? Where's the Allbirds? Because the golf clubs look like Gillette razors that like just keep adding blades and pivot things and lines and grooves and neon lights. And you're like, and claiming it's functional and claiming it's extending, it's going to make you hit further and straighter, which for most of us, no club is going to do that. We got to fix our game.
Yep.
And so we were like, this is one of the initial problems. Like, what would a great looking golf club look like? Like, what would be the best looking golf club? Now, there are some good looking golf clubs. And I talk about Mura because it's like, it's very purist and minimal. Why do I have to pay so much for somebody to just simplify things? Everybody else is just adding lines and weights and dials and grooves and stripes and lightning bolts down the shaft. And you're like, guys, that looks crazy. It all looks like a Scion or a, like it all looks cheap. It looks like cheap design. So that was something we wanted to solve out of the gate, was like, what would be the best looking golf clubs that we would want to carry? And what we said is, the way Kyle puts it is, the best way to stand out in a noisy room is to be quiet.
I like that.
So while everybody's out there screaming at each other, I'm more high tech than you. No, I'm more high tech than you. We were just like simple and black.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I like that. I mean, you guys did an amazing job. I think the look is fantastic. When you guys came up with the idea for the clubs, did you guys anticipate just doing like an iron set, or did you have the full intention of doing the driver, the woods, the putter, and everything, the wedges?
I think the first mock-up was just irons. Okay, this is a fun story. We were like, maybe it's all a design play. Maybe that's all this is, because it's also unattractive to us. Maybe it's just about design and like personalization. So one of these early validation tests we did, we said, what if people could pick their grip color, their shaft color, their head color, and mix and match? Maybe that would be super cool and people would love that. So one of these validation tests we did, we ran ads, drove them to a landing page, and had them customize their set. And it was hundreds of people that did this. And given all these cool color combinations, 100% of people chose the same color combination.
Really?
Black on black on black.
Wow.
So we
That's
were like,
interesting.
well, that simplifies things.
Yeah, answers that question, huh?
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, it's very cool too that you guys really did your homework on, you didn't just come up with a name, want to do something and just like build it and put it out there. You know what I mean? Like you actually did the due diligence of like when we do it, we want to do it right. And you can definitely tell that,
Yeah, so
especially
coming
speaking
so I
telling
came
stories
from
here.
I was a designer, then I was a software developer.
I forgot to tell you that he's got
Oh,
a background with this stuff.
okay, well it makes sense. Yeah, after everything you've been saying. So yeah.
Yeah, and in software, right, it's agile development, right? Like software companies learn, don't just like build a feature roadmap and spend 2 years building it and then launch it. Like do iterative releases and do A/B tests and like gather feedback and see what's resonating and what's not, and like build the product iteratively,
Sure.
rather than like betting so much on what 5 people sitting in a room are gonna guess about, right? Like that can be really expensive misses. So if you're gonna miss small, miss quickly, they say fail fast. And that was kind of the same mantra at the venture studio, whether it was software or it was product development, like learn quickly, iterate quickly and cheaply. And then as you scale, that has to slow down for better or for worse. I miss the more rapid iteration. Once you get to a certain size, you can't pivot as quickly. But yeah. But I think your original question was it always going to be sets? And so the first test was irons, but we knew that we wanted to do sets because we wanted the purchasing process to be as simple as possible. And that meant just give me a set. Just, I want new golf clubs. Here you go. Right. Like, because buying woods, comparing woods, Dom, like you guys are talking about comparing all the stats and the performance and testing and whatever. It's like, look, my decision is going to be about, does it look awesome? Does it feel good? And is it affordable? Like, that's how I'm going to shop. And that's why people are going to choose Stix. And so let's just, and hopefully people just want to upgrade and they want to just do it all at once. They don't want the process of comparing and making all these individual decisions. They just want to upgrade their set, which goes back to your question about demographics and is it beginners or is it more advanced? We've always said, I want to be your first upgrade and maybe your last upgrade. I'm fine if it's your first set of clubs. We don't position ourselves as a starter set. I want to be the first upgrade for everybody's starter set. Everybody rocking Strata and Top Flight and their box set that was $300 to $500. I want to be your first upgrade once you're like, I'm in, right? I don't want to be the cheapest set out there that, people starter sets usually like, I'm not sure, so I'm just going to spend as little as possible to see if it sticks. Once you're ready, I want to be your first upgrade with a super solid, legit set of clubs, or your first upgrade from dad's hand-me-downs, grandpa's hand-me-downs, the garage sale set, the used set. Once you're ready for that leap, I want to make that leap a lot easier for you, right? Because the leap can be from $500 to $5,000, and it can be that whole shopping experience that we talked about that's complicated, confusing, intimidating, and all those things.
What are some of your goals as a company? Like, and like even like future, like do you have anything that you want to talk about that you might have that's releasing in the near future or that you're working on in the near future?
So before you answer that, I wanted to show off.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
did grab one of the clubs for people to see. So we have the black on black right here.
Yeah. Little 5 iron.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
It is a
See-
5-iron.
yeah.
I hate you. Fucking weirdo. It's super simple.
Just calling me names here.
So, you were talking about Mira. I work in the running industry, so I immediately thought of, where you're saying simplistic. I immediately thought of Mizuno.
Hmm.
Funny enough, both from Japan. Um, I don't know if it's something about like Japanese design or something like that, but theirs is simple, to the point. The Mizuno is a little bit more flashy, especially lately with some of the new stuff they're putting out with their energy stuff. Wrong podcast for that. But I mean, this is simple. It's classy looking. Has the number, thankfully. My favorite part is it does say Stix right there on the hosel. And then I personally, I love the grips, but it's super simple. I almost think they're like elegant and classy looking.
Yeah, I agree. Like they're
I
they're
almost don't,
priced competitively, but they like
I almost don't want to hit them because they look so good. But I know we're supposed to, and I know I'm gonna. But like, I mean, it's pretty. It's a nice club, and I like the really minimal branding just, in that area. I think it's clean.
Mhm.
They're a sexy club.
I like the red line too. You guys have them.
Yeah, the red one.
One
I know
little
I
one
kept
little highlight for functionality, right? Like that's the touch point. The red line is where you make contact. And then on the bag we have the red on just the zipper pulls. So like the red always highlights the touch point.
That like those memes that you see where they like got new clubs and then striped it, but the picture is like the imprint of the golf ball. And it's like way on the toe of the clubs.
stripes.
Oh yeah, you guys did an awesome job. But yeah, kind of going back to that question, it was kind of a loaded question, but I always kind of like to ask, companies, whether it's individually on your end where you'd like to see your where you'd like to see the company grow, or if you do have some goals that you
I'm
guys
so
have.
upset you knew that it was a 5-iron.
I might have saw it. I just didn't
I
want
didn't
to tell
even
you.
know what it was.
He just eyeballed the angle of the loft from
Yeah,
across
I'm
the
big
room.
into angles.
I had no idea. I was like, this is a club. And I took it.
Grab another one. I'll close my eyes.
No, because you probably know the order.
Can tell by
You
the
don't-
pocket it's pulled from.
He knows the order.
As far as plans, we always want to make golf more accessible. And so, and then we also want to take care of our customers. So as far as the product roadmap goes, people can expect to see us continue to try to deliver as high of quality as we can at as affordable a price as we can, and to give people the options that they want and need without making it too complicated. When is this podcast releasing?
Friday. Is it the 8th?
Okay.
Whatever day
Yeah.
Friday is. Is that
Yeah,
the 8th?
Right. I'll give one sneak peek on here.
Ooh, all right. I like it.
On September, at the end of September, this I think this product release is funny because I feel like it's an Apple product release where it's like we're doing this crazy thing and people are like, yeah, Android was doing that 2 years ago. So here's the big unveil, guys.
God, the funny part is he's all Apple and I'm all Android.
So you guys have that conversation a lot, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
You're like, oh, guess what? Apple just released. And you're like, dude, that's like
So
6 versions ago.
2018, dude.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So get this, we are going to release steel shafts. Can you believe it?
You are, okay.
Oh,
Very cool.
I remember when that was new.
Yeah. So when we've been graphite forever. We've been graphite forever. And when we launched, we were 12 clubs, no bag, no head covers. And people were like, we want a bag and head covers and we want 14 clubs. So we did that. So we're always listening and trying to give people what they want. And many people have said, we want steel iron shafts. And we're like, give the people what they want. We don't necessarily even believe like graphite is the best. We're like, we started with graphite, we've rocked graphite. If you want steel, here's steel. But logistically, I mean, through COVID, you can imagine there was certain reasons why just steel wasn't a thing. But by the end of this month, you can get steel irons and wedges from Stix in a full set.
I kept wondering why there's only graphite, and I never put
Two and two
two and
together
two together.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because Derek and I were like sitting around these things. We were like, they're graphite, and I was like, I don't know if I feel comfortable because I've always hit iron, like all my irons and wedges are steel.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if I'd be comfortable because one time I tried to hit a graphite, I wasn't. To be fair, it was also like super bendy and wiggly.
Super bending. He hit it 400 yards.
I wish. I don't think I've ever hit anything 400 yards. Um, that's cool.
That is really cool.
Um,
There was one little nugget too, because I don't know if I've asked this earlier, but we could have I could have blanked it. But left-handed clubs are always difficult to kind of get your hands on. Is that something that you guys typically do stock? I mean, we're both right-handed golfers, but
We know a
for
lefty.
yeah, for lefties that are out
Hi,
there,
Brendan.
it is difficult to find those clubs. Is that something that you guys typically have in stock in your warehouse?
Yep, and they're coming back. They've been out for a while, so the lefties are lining up at the door. So sign up for that out of stock if you want to be notified, because they're probably going to go fast once they get here. But
Okay.
lefties will be back before the end of the year, so people can continue to sign up for that. We'll get the lefties back in stock. Oh, I was going to say one more thing about graphite. We started with graphite, and I'm a big walker. I love to walk the course and carry my clubs. And even with 14 clubs, that was totally comfortable. Now that I have my steel set, because I'm, doing the player testing on the prototypes, that is a lot heavier. That is a
Never
lot
even thought
heavier
of
for
it.
carrying.
That isn't
Well, I mean,
makes sense,
I've
but
only ever used, steel. And I also have
yeah,
like a push
push
cart,
cart when you're
you know.
but for walking though, that does make sense. And they're a lot lighter. That
I walked with my push cart. It's not my fault
Yeah.
my back hurts. Like,
no, I know, but I'm just saying though, like for people that do
no, I
walk with
know.
their bag, it makes a lot
I
of
never
sense.
put two and two together.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Probably why the boxes
We're
are so light.
we're learning stuff, new stuff all the time, which is what I love. I do want to ask a couple more business related questions as far as like some of your favorite parts and some of the harder parts, but I do want to ask, do you guys plan on making like any divot tools or like other golf accessories? I know that you have some tees and some golf gloves and such, but do you plan on doing like a divot tool or anything like that?
I do. Yeah, that's something we're working on right now.
Okay.
Oh, damn. Look
So
at us.
And
we'll save that for
we're working on some new hats and towels. So we should have some good accessory packs available for holiday.
okay.
Oh, perfect timing.
Awesome. And I mean, obviously we'd love to have you on again maybe before the end of the year. We can do it at the beginning of next year. And we'd like to always have our guests on at least one more time. And we can always,
Cool.
we kind of like to do that where we started and,
Where, where you going?
where we're going. Yeah. Where you
Yeah.
guys are exactly.
Unless you really had a bad time.
yeah, unless you don't want to come on. No, but what has been like one of your favorite parts of running this company or working with the other individuals, the co-founders? Like, what's been one of your favorite, like your highlights?
Oh man, it's been a ride. For me, the most exciting time is always the early days, even having the co-founders that I did. The way it started is, for this September 1 launch 3 years ago, I approached a few people that I had talked to about the idea, that were friends and people that I was golfing with, and we had talked about it. And I had offered to hire a few of them on like a contract basis. I'm like, look, I'm working a full-time job. I need some kind of side help just to keep some of this stuff going, because I don't have time for all this. And every single one that I asked that was like, I don't want money. I want equity. I love this. I want to be in. So that was, there was like the validation test from the market. And then there was like that validation test where you got people that believe in you and believe in the idea, who will take, years out, pay out in the form of equity versus cash up front, which usually it's the founder having to like sell people, hey, I can't afford to pay you anything, but will you do it for equity? I'm not sure if it's going anywhere. Like that's
Right.
usually what a founder's doing. And so it was cool in the early days for everybody to refuse money and demand equity. That was confidence building. And then, those early days too of raising friends and family money and seeing family members and old previous business partners and people that I was working with at the venture studio put up money to get behind this idea. That was an exciting time.
Have you ever been like out in the wild and like seeing people,
Like in the jungle.
yeah, in the jungles of the municipal courses. Yeah,
God, I know what I was picking up what you're putting down.
God, because the course I played was a jungle. Have you been out in like the wild and been like, those are my clubs. Like I make those.
Yes. Yeah.
What's that feeling like?
It's super cool. And people are always so happy with their experience and their clubs, and it always over delivers. So it's always exciting to talk to them. I will say it's been less so on the course, like seeing people with the clubs, more people like that know about the brand. Like I'll be in an airport with this hat and I'll get flagged down. Or we showed up to a course in was it Salt Lake City? No, it was Denver. And like, and it, we tend to attract a younger crowd. So I'm at I think it was a country club in Denver, and the kids, picking up my clubs and driving the cart up are like, "Hey, you know Stix?" And then I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the founder." And they're like, "No way."
That's so cool. That's gonna be very, very cool.
Subtle flex.
Yeah.
So it's always fun to see what the reach is. And again, that like people get it. That's the best part. When we start talking to them, they're like, I love how it looks. I love how simple it is. I love that it's affordable. Like it's everything I've ever wanted from a golf company, and it hasn't existed. Now, I think part of the reason I find so many people that are aware of the brand that don't have the clubs is because we still are like attracting this odd. There's this huge group out there that still can't afford clubs, even though we're trying to make clubs more affordable. Like golf's just expensive. So we're continuing. We want to try to help solve that problem as much as we can. The reason I'm going to Potawatomi in 2 days is I'm kicking off. I don't want to overhype it because I'll certainly underdeliver on this, but I'm doing a little municipal tour to just highlight municipal courses, to just remind people like, hey, gear can be affordable, courses can be affordable, like this game can be enjoyable without being super expensive.
I love that. That's awesome.
I was recently talking to Josh from Haywood, and just kind of going back and forth, on the Instagram, whatever. And I asked him the same question. I was like, what's it like seeing people play with his Haywood irons? Because I know Derek has some. I've got a couple. He had kind of the same answer where, what if I've never seen anybody with like our like shindig hoodies in the wild. Obviously your wife had it on today, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, represent.
But
Way to go, wifey.
well, it's almost like we paid her.
Yeah. For wear that.
Yeah. But he was saying the same thing, and I'm like, you can't even imagine like what that feeling would be. You take all the time and effort, design the product, you go through all these phases, and then you finally put it out there, and now people are like pumped about it. I think that's so cool. Because I don't think anybody's been like, you're Dom Dom from the podcast, other than like Beard and like Juju.
Yeah.
Which was still weird.
Still pretty cool though.
One day someone's gonna be like, it's Dom
there
Dom.
he is. I could see that beard and hair.
I'm gonna
from
flip my hair
away.
and just walk away like a mystery.
What? So kind of got like one of your favorite parts about that. What has been what's one of the hardest things that you've kind of found operating the company?
Yeah, I mean, depends on how honest I want to be, I guess. Like there's been dark times. my wife will attest. I was a designer, I was a software developer, like I was a creative, and being a CEO and executive and raising venture funding and growing an organization and doing performance reviews and hiring and firing and getting close on money and goals, and there's been plenty of misses. How do I summarize? I probably won't go into detail on like the darkest times, but I guess I'll say it's just growing pains for me personally as a founder, right? You're like, hey, I got this idea, let's validate it, and suddenly you're like, oh shit, I'm on a rocket ship and I'm not an astronaut and I don't know what the hell to do, right?
Yeah.
And so, thankful for having having great teammates and advisors and investors that have still believed in me to continue to grow and evolve with this. I'm always kind of blown away as part of this journey to think of what some people have done that are like some of the greatest like founders that I admire. Like it was their first time and they just went all the way, and you're like, what in the world? And there's plenty of stories of people just getting completely fried in the process too. But you're like, Mark Zuckerberg, like literally you wrote something in college and you just made it a global empire. Like,
Yeah.
And well, from what I've heard, there's the real story is like he had the right people that were brought along with him to like help. It's not like he just figured it all out.
Sure. The right team behind him that was helping for sure. So as a business owner, do you have any like suggestions or like recommendations for anyone that is looking to start a company? Doesn't necessarily have to be golf related, but what's something that like a piece of advice that you'd give someone?
Are we business owners?
We might be. Yeah, well, Safe Park Golf LLC is technically a company.
Well, I don't own that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the guy.
So do I.
Yes, I have lots. And actually this journey has been such a ride that I want to document and share as much as I can about it. So I've been writing a little bit and publishing to Medium and putting it on my Instagram at Gabe Coin. I've got 3 articles so far, but my goal is to like capture as much of this journey as I can because I'm like, I wish, and I'm sure there's plenty of content out there that I could have read. But everybody's journey is unique. And we've learned a lot along the way. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, most people never make it this far, right? Like if only 1% ever receive venture funding and only 1% of those ever make $1 million, like a lot of people don't make it for some reason along the way. Let's talk about how we navigated some of that and see if it can help somebody else. So the first article I wrote was called Why Start Stuff. And it's just like encouraging entrepreneurs to just start something like you guys are doing, like whatever it is. I always like to say fire, ready, aim, or, jump in the deep end and learn how to swim, for better or for worse. That can have its own challenges, but sometimes you just got to do it. And you're going to have to, it's like being a new parent. People are like, hey, so do you think you're ready for this baby? And it's like, you have no freaking clue about the train that's about to hit you.
You can
no
read
matter
as
how
many books as you want, probably, right?
But yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I think literally, I try to ask that question for a lot of the business owners, and I think I would say 85-90% of the people that say that, and I would agree, is that take that step and just sometimes you just gotta push that foot forward and do it because
I mean, I think being uncomfortable is sometimes the best thing you can do.
100%. Yeah, I agree. So I love that piece of advice. I'm gonna check out those articles though. I
have his Instagram pulled up.
Yeah. Because I'm a big fan. I'm a big reader, and I'm big in the entrepreneurial reading and just like more positivity type of books and things like that. But I think it's
Yeah, you
really
can't see it, but he's got a big bookshelf here, and some of them are my books that he has now stolen and made his own.
I've adopted them. They're mine.
Yeah, Arnold Palmer book. I'm never getting that thing back.
Nope. That one's locked. That's weird. The bookshelf's locked. No, I think that's really cool that you're doing that because at the end of the day, I mean, there's so much room for a lot of other businesses and companies to start something, and there's
Yeah.
being able to kind of like you said, document and share some of the things that maybe you've learned that you would or wouldn't do, going forward, or some of the things that you should do, So I think that's very cool.
People are doing that with us, podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ralph from Los Golferos, he wants to do one, and he's like, hey, what do I do? And I was like, don't do this because that's what we did, and now we're stuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's a learning process, right? Sometimes you just got to do it. And, going back to your comments, you were a designer of these things. Well, now, you're a designer, but now you own a company. So you're a little bit, you're like everything, right? So it's not just you make money and you go to work and you do your thing. And now that is what you do. And you're going to do multiple things, whether it's designing, paying employee, whatever it is, you're going to have to be involved in a little bit of everything.
You're the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, in
Mhm.
the early days for sure. And so that's something I've actually done a lot of reading about, is like the evolution of a founder, right? In the early days, you are doing everything. Eventually, it changes a lot. You can't,
Kind of delegate. And
yeah, you
yeah,
gotta become a
yeah,
leader. You gotta be able to actually build an organization and optimize an organization. And you gotta build the right team. And that's hard because many times a person who can like get in there and do everything, it's a really hard transition to then zooming out and having a team that's doing it all. And
sure.
I will say one of my favorite quotes is from at least where I heard it was the Airbnb founder. In an article I read, he said, "Always hire better." I've been in organizations where we tried to hire cheap or junior and like just like offload some tasks kind of thing.
Yep.
But at this point, I'm a big fan of like, if you're going to hire somebody who's better than you at the thing you're hiring them to do.
I
Don't
like that.
don't just hire minions to like delegate tasks to, like hire experts if it's going to grow so that you can, I'm not the best at running a warehouse. I'm not the best at running finances. I'm not the best at a lot of things. I'm good at some things, but man, if I was the best person at everything that Stix did, it would not be where it is.
Sure.
Wow, I don't know what song that was. That reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, and it's one of the best Ron Swanson quotes I've ever heard.
Ron Swanson,
It's
yes.
don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing.
I love this. I was just starting to rewatch that.
I love that. I've seen it like 7 times.
Yes.
It's the same thinking though, right? Like, you're the person that does everything. That's fine. I'm kind of in that position right now where I'm having to do everything, but I'm trying to hire. But you should whole ass on hiring or whole ass on whatever you're doing. So, like, yeah, I can't run a warehouse, but somebody can whole ass that thing. So I'm not half assing it. Because when you start to half ass things,
Yeah.
it
Then
shows.
you have
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah. So I mean,
Really.
going back to like, what do you say to early, people starting things is like, learn you got, it's like getting married. Like you learn a lot about yourself in a hurry building a business, right? Like, what am I good at, what am I not good at, right? You get married and it becomes really clear really quickly what you're not good at, right? Like, you get to know yourself really well all of a sudden, more so than you maybe ever wanted to when you first get married.
Good analogy. I like that.
I'm not good at getting married. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah, he's not married yet. But I can relate. I like that.
Maybe you're half-assing dating, Dom. Maybe you need a
That's
whole
fine.
ass
I got I
date.
got I got other stuff to do.
We don't want to take too much more of your time, but we do have a few rapid fire questions I'd like to throw your
Yeah.
way, and then we always ask a food related question at the end. But I've kind of been asking most of the questions for the most part. So Dom, you go ahead and fire
I've been
away.
taking it all in because it's
This has been a very, very cool
yeah.
episode,
I
man. This has
figured
been
this one
awesome.
would be very like philosophical, but like I'm just soaking it all in.
Yep.
Which is super cool. Where are we?
I'll start off. You follow it. So first question
I
is,
see it.
you got it. How many rounds of golf do you play per week?
2. This is the
2?
rapid fire, right? Keep it
Yep.
short and sweet. Yeah,
Yep.
about 2
Go ahead, man.
rounds.
2
Well,
rounds.
I'll say this. Last summer or 2 summers ago, I played almost every day for the summer, and I
Did
went
you
from
really?
yeah, I
Must
would
be
go out
nice.
super early, like 6:30 a.m. and walk.
Oh, I take that back.
That's awesome.
Sounds awful.
Morning golf though is the best golf, right? That's my opinion. I
Yeah.
think you can get because you have the whole rest of we've talked about this all the time. It's literally like one of our big uh
Debates.
debates. Yeah, I was gonna say arguments. We're not really arguing, so yeah, definitely debate.
Oh, I'll argue.
But this is the other thing about rapid fire questions. This is how it always starts. It
Yeah,
really is
rapid fire my
it's
ass.
not really rapid fire because we end up some of them are kind of loaded questions.
Would you
And
say we're half-assing the rapid fire
we're
questions?
half assing. I say that we're getting a whole ass answer
Oh
because
my
like
God.
it's you start into it and then you have to kind of explain,
I
the
can't
whole
wait
bit.
to make this a reel.
I was gonna say
Um,
we're gonna need whole ass hats and t-shirts after this
I
episode.
think so too. I like that.
I'm down. I'll buy it.
All right, go ahead.
What's your go-to snack on the course?
Um, Water or a a protein shake probably early in the morning.
Okay.
Coffee, water,
Yep.
protein shake. That's all I really want to do before noon.
Okay, so no like granola bar or anything like that, some fruit or anything?
RX bar maybe, if anything.
Okay.
Big ass Chipotle burrito at like 6 a.m. I'm pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. They actually make a breakfast burrito. It's just off the menu.
Taco Bell does.
Yeah. I'm sure. Um, favorite golf course that you've played?
Oh, ever? Probably I got to play the Grand Wailea with my uncle when I was young and not any good at golf, but that was beautiful. This is on Maui, right by the ocean, and I'm sure I lost 24 balls, but it was beautiful.
That's how I felt playing Half Moon Bay. I was like, I don't belong here. And then I hit the shot of my life. I'm like, maybe I do. Or I dropped that putt that nobody's recording on.
I know that was insane.
Oh, bitch.
That's how it works, though.
Nobody thought I'd make it, so they're not
Well,
recording, and then it just drops, and I'm like, I told you.
we just need to hire or have someone just fully just
We need
get
a Jordan. We need a
content.
Jordan.
Jordan Odin, man. He's just a sneaky good just content. Like all he does is film, but it's like you don't even like really even pay attention to
He
it.
has to have like 3 iPhones worth of like footage.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Jordan.
We should do that one there.
Good, because I don't want to read the long
Yeah,
one.
I'll take care of that one.
Ugh. So you're packing for a golf trip. Where are you headed?
I've done a few to Palm Springs, so that's a good spot. If I could go, I would love to do Bandon.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
that's definitely got to be one of the best like bucket lists here in the United States
In
for
the
sure.
US.
Yeah. Okay, this one's kind of a weird question, but okay, what's worse? Shanking a drive off the first tee, blading your second shot after hitting a drive right down the middle, or three putting after you hit a good drive and a good second shot.
So before you answer, I did this.
You did this?
I
Which
did.
one? All of them?
So it was the second hole
Yeah.
of the exact I was playing.
Yep.
Absolute moonshot of a drive. And I was like, this is beautiful. My round is gonna be
Like golf is the
great.
best.
And then I completely shanked my second shot.
So like, okay, now that I'm asking him, which after you experienced that, what would you rather have?
What would I rather have? None of them.
Okay, if you had to choose. Or what's worse, I should say.
Oh God, the worst part for me is I'm bad with my driver. So the fact that I hit an absolute missile and I had this beautiful shot at the green and I just shanked it, I was like, this is so disheartening. I don't
Yeah.
want I almost left.
Yeah,
I was like, I should go home,
that is brutal.
but I paid $15, so I'm gonna finish.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, Dom, because I'm the same way. It's like if I get to be like I'm good with my irons, right? So on the less likely opportunity or occasion that like the drive is awesome, if I then mess it up with my irons, it's like, okay, you just threw it away. You just threw away the one thing that doesn't usually go right.
That's how I am, but I hit off the spot, and funny enough, I've never landed at this spot on this hole before. Weird, weird. I know. Untouched
Yeah, the
territory
par
for
four
me.
number two.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
The ground was so weird. I'm like, I don't like this. Then I had a 3 putt, which was rough.
See, yeah, I would much rather. I mean, three putting sucks, but I would much rather three putt and hit a really good drive and a really good iron shot. Just knowing that, like, because most people do have a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like you know what I mean. I feel like
Yeah.
putting is already kind of difficult, but a lot of people's issue is getting off the tee. So it's like if I can get off the
Yeah.
tee and hit a good second shot onto the green, I mean, three putting does suck really badly, but I would much rather do that. But we had
Yeah.
somebody last week, I think, or no, not last week, a couple weeks ago, had said that they would rather because the question in the beginning I said, would you rather shank a drive off the first tee? Because technically he's like, well, the dreaded
Breakfast ball.
yeah, where you're basically like, or you just hit it off the tee, like you duff it and everyone's staring at you watching. I'm like, yes, that sucks, but at least you kept your golf ball. Where if you shank it and you're like, go OB, that's now you're
Yeah,
so
I'm
there's
with you there. You're like, anytime I'm not searching for a damn ball, I'm in a good
yeah,
mood, right? It's like three putt,
exactly.
whatever, I can find it,
Yep,
you know?
100%.
Funny enough, I was telling Derek that was a first. Is it a round of golf? Half round of golf, whatever.
You just played 9 holes,
I didn't lose a single golf ball.
which
That's
is
a good
awesome. Because I was
round.
telling him, yeah, there's a lot of water around there, so that's
Shout
impressive.
out Jordan Odin for making a good ball. that I beat up on.
Our last question is always a food related question. So if me and Dom came out and visited you, where would we go to eat?
Ooh, for me, it's all. I mean, as long as you guys are up for it, for me, it's always Thai food.
I love Thai
Thai food?
food.
Okay. Is there a specific restaurant that you would go to?
Well, out here in the suburbs, the options aren't, as vast. But I do have a good Thai food place by my house and by the course I usually play, called Lao Thai. So that would probably be it. And there's another one nearby. But I'm from Seattle. If we were in Seattle, I could take you to an even better place. But if it's my choice, it's always Thai food.
Okay.
I
love
love
that.
Thai
Yeah.
food.
I mean I don't eat it very often, but I like Thai food as well. We don't really eat it very often, but
You should.
I know.
Bucket
Yeah,
list.
you should.
Well, Gabe, man, it's been a pleasure, dude. We really had a blast kind of picking your brain, just learning how you guys kind of got the golf
We should
sticks
start
off
our
the
own
ground. And
business.
yeah,
You
we
should. You should. Go read
Slapping
Start
LLC
Stuff.
on this thing.
Go read Start Stuff and tell me if you get inspired and you start a business
That's
immediately.
what, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start reading right after we get out this podcast. But
I don't
no,
read.
we'd love to have you on again down the road. I know obviously you'd mentioned the steel shafts and all that, so we'd like to have you on again, and we can kind of maybe have something else launching in the near future.
It'll
So
be interesting to see what sells better, the graphite or the steel.
yeah,
I know. That's always, I tell you, that's one of the hardest things in this business is you got to order a bunch of stuff and you got to kind of, especially when it's brand new, you got to guess. You're like, well, how much of it do we order? Because you're like, if you order too little and it's fire and people like it flies off the shelves, you're like, damn it. And
Yeah,
then
no,
if you order too much and it moves
you're
slow,
sitting
you're
on
like,
it.
damn it, because I
Yeah.
should have bought other things. So that's a big challenge.
Sure. Well, so we look forward to having you on. Yeah.
Survey says it should be about 50-50. We'll see.
Okay. Well, we're gonna find out down the road here.
I'll sway that. Give me the steel shafts any day.
Thanks again, man. We really appreciate it. And like I said, fantastic job. Keep up all the great work, and you're doing awesome.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Take care.
Good chatting with you guys. All right.
See you later.